exactly. I don't know if it was
on the hill.
Tusa Place or something like that.
Yeah, it was on the hill up there.
Yeah. They used to cater to the women, right?
But they're not up there.
I know that. That's why I'm saying it. No, but what I'm getting at is, I wish anybody that knows better, because I know enough to know that people cannot look for that location anymore because they're not there. But there are others that know what replaced those institutions, and this is why I'm doing the program like I am tonight. I'm hoping that when people know better, they can call in and say.
Call in, yeah.
Because see,
even like the women's one up by Fort Hamilton.
Yes.
That just cleared recently.
Yes.
Yeah, man, that just cleared recently.
Yeah.
So where are these where are they going?
Yes. Now there have been, like I recall, just before Sunshine League closed down, there were issues like financial instability.
Right.
There were problems that young people were suffering that needed to have an improved approach to the challenge. For instance, like there are more mental instability than there is, say, physical or emotional instabilities.
Right.
So those programs were identified as needing, like even right now. I recall when I was working with the prisons, that they needed to have a change of the type of prison that a psychologically affected prisoner needs to be in, rather than being amongst the institution up there where people were not psychologically affected, and those two groups were at odds with each other because one is in a place where he shouldn't be. Now, but Bermuda doesn't have prisons that deal solely to psychological problems of a prisoner. So you got those two groups mingling with each other up there. Now, I'm not saying that the government's doing the wrong thing and ending up like that. I'm saying because of our smallness, we cannot have separate institutions like other places have that have populations and budgets that's far bigger than ours. But at the same time, in understanding what's the challenges and why we seem to end up like we are, it's good for us to understand the reasons, so as we could then understand why we're not getting what we think is the optimum, if you will. And I say that with all due respect, because I tell you, I'm one of those people. I could say directly that some of the needs of a inmate, as much as that inmate had good intentions and desires for him to have a better life, he could not meet the needs in the prison because the programs wasn't in the prisons to help him. Now, I'm not saying that to bring down the prison. I'm saying that the prisons has dealt with that subject on many occasions in many different ways. For instance, I could say this here without equivocation. You remember the lawyer Hector?
Yeah.
Okay, God bless his soul. He passed now. Why I mention him? Before Hector passed, and he was a guy, one of the brightest lawyers around here, mate. He said something when the parole board was established in 2001. I was the one that presented the government program to the institutions to Bermuda to understand what was expected of the paroling system now that it's filling in a gap that was not there before. It was filling in, was improving on how to manage prisoners. Now, then I presented, and it was a weekend program, presented to different institutions that needed buy-in to understand what the paroling system is expected to do, why they're going to do it, and how it's going to be effective positively to the inmate as well as to community. And the number one thing for paroling is the safety of communities, not the satisfaction of the inmate. The number one thing for paroling is safety of the community.
Exactly.
Okay? Now, with that in mind, that same program is supposed to help the inmate to filter back into the community. So in order to do that, you got to prepare him to leave prison as a better citizen than he went in.
Exactly.
So with me saying this and all the other things that's associated with this, Mr. Hector, when I finished my presentation, I'll never forget, boy. Mr. Hector came from the audience, put up his hand to make a comment towards my presentation. And his comments was something on this level. He said, Mr. Shakir, I wholeheartedly agree with what you said needs to be done and how it should be done. What I do need for you to understand that the basis of that change needing to be done requires legislative change, and you're not able to do that. The legislation. Listen to this. Listen to this. He wasn't discouraging us, you know.
Right.
What he was simply saying was the ideas were so ambitious that some of the things that we needed to work with from a foundational point of view, in order for that foundation to be placed there for the parole board to start out on a good footing, he said it requires legislative change in order for you to be supported, meaning the parole board and its intention for you guys to get off on a good foot. I'm suggesting that you look in that direction in the progression of your intent and purpose as a board, as a group. And he added to that later on when it came around to personal involvement, but he said that publicly to all the stakeholders that were there. He said, all what you said, it's going to go to naught if you do not establish the legislative change that's going to support what you're trying to do. That's all I'm going to say on that subject right now.
Terrible. Okay? But you do hear, like, all the time, right, that basically, really, that letting some of these guys out that have not had the help to change while they've been in prison. You do hear it.
Yes, we do, man.
And that's, that's not protecting the community at all.
Yes.
I mean, but, hey, I don't know, but, I don't know.
Look, with you saying what you're saying, let me say this here. I was looking at an article that was written in 2017, my dear brother. 2017. The psychologists that used to work at the wellness institution, as well as he was the psychologist for the prisons, he presented a finding to the general public, and it was in the Royal Gazette, 2017. And he outlined clearly that the type of contributions that the psychologist needs to make and help these prisoners is not there for him to work with because of what's not established within the prison system. The psychologist wrote that and he printed it in the Royal Gazette. Now, I'm not saying something from my opinion. I'm not saying this to bring down government. I'm saying that these things were talked about, they were exposed, and they were supposed to be worked on. Now, if these things weren't done, well, I'm going to tell you, I'm here today to say it's now 2025. That's about 8 years later, right? Brother, I know in the last 8 years, I'm heard that reiterated more than once.
Right.
So my question would be, was Mr. Hector right? Was the psychologist right? Unless we facilitate the needs of the programs that we have, the ideas are for naught. We need facilitation. So it's not that we're going without understanding of what's needed. Most times, that's why I chose to have this program like I did tonight, babe. I hope and pray, man, that, listen, people like yourself, you need to look at your own value more than what you normally do. And I'm saying that for that to register in your own head, boy. Because let me tell you something. I know what I feel when I hear people like you. I know what I hear when I hear people like you. I don't just have feelings. I also hear you. Right? I'm not so sure if you all hear what I hear.
Right.
Now, why do I say that? And that's why I'm repeating what Vendal said last week, and I want us to go over it step by step, because it's a subject that needs to be looked at and not browsed over so quickly.
True.
Because what you guys are saying from the perspective you're at has greater value than what you think.
Right.
And unless we remind each other of this, we're not got any reason to backtrack and look at it from a different lens. I remember when you asked, how is it that we're not got prisons like we used to have prisons? Let me say this, brother. I done some research on something. You've heard of the cat o' nine tail? You've ever heard of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, the cat o' nine tail has been known now to be recognized as an inhumane treatment to any institution that uses it. It's on record internationally. I'm not just talking about locally, internationally, as being an inhumane tool for treating any human being, not no just prisoner, any human being, because of what it done to the human being psychologically and physically. Now, I hear, and I'm telling you, brother, it hurts my spirit when I hear people in Bermuda saying that we should bring back the cat o' nine tail. Because there's guys that went to prison and said they'll never go back to prison because when they got the cat o' nine tail, they'll never ever want that to be done to them again. So that kept them out of prison. So why am I saying that? God knows, man, we should not want to employ an inhumane act to keep people out of prison. Inhumane treatment shouldn't be given to anybody. Prisoners have prisoners' rights. The very thing that was dealt with just this week, the Governor's Council, the discussion with the Premier and his ministers dealing with the governor, having to do with better security of the country and dealing with gun violence and the like. He's had a meeting on that. One of the things that they spoke about was from the DPP. She said, we're looking at issues having to do with the rights of how did she put it? Let me see here. Let me read. I'm going to read it right now.
All right.
The Premier reiterated his position that the message, the necessary resources would be made available from the government to help the people of Bermuda to be safe and secure. Mr. Simons, the commissioner, Ms. Clark, the DPP, and Ms. Lucinda Perman from the Collectors of Customs were directed to employ new measures to respond to the changes. Now, part of the new measures that the DPP said dealt with was having to do with the rights of the inmates or the people that came across her in the legal system. Why? Because you can't look at trying to catch a person and abuse their rights. What's that saying? Even if they end up in prison, they still have rights. They have human rights. And
I hear what you're saying, right? But what some of these guys are doing, beating children, molesting children, raping women, and all that, that's inhumane too.
Yes, and I get that. Let me say this here, man. Look, I'm not trying to protect no guilty party from getting what's just. What I'm simply saying is, brother, we cannot make the mistake in trying to get satisfaction by unjustly treating anybody. That's all I'm saying. So if justice is to arrive at the worst punishment for this individual because they are guilty and they need to get justice, I'm for that. But I'm not for trying to get to the ends by mistreating the means. You can't use means that's unacceptable behavior to get to an end that we're going to be satisfied with. That's no different than us creating slavery again to build a country. There's no difference.
So what have they come up with? Have they come up with anything?
What? What?
I haven't heard anything.
No, they're still meeting, man. They just met this week, and they're going to be meeting in September to follow up on what they said. But I'm only saying that to say, that these people are looking at the legislative side of it, the justice side. The problem of that we're talking about when it comes around to gang violence is not a legal thing, it's a social thing. And a lot of the things that they're dealing with it didn't have to do with social issues. So you're not going to have them discussing gangs and stuff right now as they're part of their discussion. Because the commissioner himself has said clearly to the public, the legal and policing is not expected to address the social issues. They're separate. So when we think about the separation of these things, we've got to look at them for what position they are in and measure them, assess them in accordance with the category that they're in. And it calls for us to really take a very, I'll say, reasonable and logical approach to this subject. Most of us are just not conditioned to want to be patient and deal with it like that, because we just want to, like Vandal said, we just want to lock up these guys when we find out that they're in gangs. He said, but how many of us are looking at the vulnerability that they had that made them fall through the cracks?
Yeah. To me, right, let's talk about it's not even a prison, like I said. It's a correctional facility.
It's a correctional facility.
It should be a deterrent. But
yes.
It's quite obvious it's not.
Well,
it's just a lot of repeat offenders, man. I remember, like, back in the day, you didn't have that with casemate. You got casemates. You didn't want to go back.
I hate to disappoint you on this, but it's never been expected that prison is a deterrent. It's an opportunity for them to change. It's not a deterrent. It's never been proved that it's a deterrent.
Well, it's not even.
It's an opportunity for correction. It is, brother. You've had some very good stories coming out of prisons where people have made major change because of what help they got in prisons, brother. Now, you may not know of them, but they do exist.
No, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that it hasn't helped. It probably has helped. I'm sure it has helped somehow.
But you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's what I'm saying. You can't look at prisons as being something that's being operated unacceptable because it's not addressing it like you're saying, staying with the prison mentality rather than the correctional mentality. In order to change a person, you got to correct them. So that's a move in the right direction as looking at correctional facilities rather than lock them up. We should want to correct them. And if they're open for correction, they will get corrected. For those who are not open for correction, they don't get what they're looking for. And that's the part that I understand. I understand that.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
But we've got to look at both sides of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
And many times, because we're looking at immediate reaction, immediate satisfaction, we don't look at the whole picture. And I'm not saying this to bombard you and make you look like you're wrong, I'm simply saying I understand why you would be saying what you're saying. And that's why I want us to talk about this more. So people like myself and others that have information that supports why we have latched on to alternative to incarceration or restorative justice. I'm pretty sure you heard the Honorable Warren Wolf deal with restorative justice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, brother, that's an improvement of throwing people in jail rather than restoring them. That's part of the improvement right there. And he will tell you that since he's been on the bench, he hasn't addressed that problem as good as he has until he addressed it from restorative justice point of view.
Mm-hmm.
That's his own admission. He admitted that.
Right.
Now we need to understand, why would he say it like that? What experience has he had with prisoners or people that are recidivists going in and out of jail for certain things that they should be corrected from?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
If you don't correct them, they'll continue to have that cycle. Yes.
Not getting the help.
Yes.
They ain't getting the help that they need.
Yes, man. And it calls for us to understand. That's why Mr. Hector was so right. He said we need to understand what it is that's going to support the foundation of the idea that we're trying to apply, man.
Right.
It's just an idea. If you don't get the support of the idea falls apart.
Right. All right. Let me let somebody else get on there, brother.
Yes, my dear brother, and I always thank you.
It's a pleasure for me.
It's always a pleasure for me too, as well, my brother.
All right.
And if the lines go quiet, brother, don't hesitate to call a second time.
All right, will do.
Because we don't want no quiet lines.
All right. Yeah, I know. All right.
Calling on Balance Matters.
And good night, Mr. Shakir.
And good night to you too, sir.
Yes, sir. Unfortunate that technical difficulties tonight, but those of us that are listening via the internet,
yes,
we're showing our support.
Yes, thank you very much.
And we're here with you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You know, as always, it's a pleasure.
Yes.
You know, the unfortunate circumstances that we lie in.
Yes.
It is a position that we can rectify, we can fix, we can reinvigorate.
Yes.
You said several words that resonate with me. One, institution.
Yes.
Two, legislation.
Yes.
The legislator. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. And you mentioned in reference to reform.
Yes.
Okay? Now, when we talk about reform, if an analysis is not taken of that individual before they reach Westgate, or even when they reach Westgate, then it just becomes recidivism.
Mm-hmm.
Once they are in Westgate, if the legislator have not implemented the necessary laws and the necessary powers to the people that can make the change that is necessary, then recidivism takes place.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we've been lacking. Brother Randall,
yes,
his point that everyone should resonate with,
yes,
was that the money is being put in the wrong places.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of in the money being put in as far as before the problem happens. We put money into after someone's killed somebody. We put money into after someone has gone down and because they feel desperate go sell drugs and all of the and the like.
Yes.
$100,000 to keep a person up at Westgate.
Yes.
So when you budget as a legislator, you're sitting at the table every Tuesday. You need to turn around and advocate as the minister that I need 300 million or 200 million or whatever, and I need it for A, B, C, and D. The institutions that are here that will be pivotal in changing our community. What institutions am I talking about? Well, first of all, after-school programs that will assist mothers who are out working and trying to put food on the table. If we had strong after-school programs that help with guiding our youth and the mother feels safe that her child can go into after-school programs that are going to be significant in the development of her child.
Yes.
That type of money will, as far as be rewarding to the community.
Yes, man.
It will be well spent.
Yes, I agree, man.
When we talk about our social clubs, let's move away from being a social club and let's being an academic club, a club. And I'm not talking about just mathematical.
Yes.
Our clubs became bars.
Yes.
And the survival of the club is off of how much alcohol we can drink.
Yes.
How many parties we can have.
Yes.
But if money was now directed and people held accountable.
Yes.
Not just give people money and then we just, don't audit and don't hold people accountable. Of course we do. But we implement even programs at that level.
Yes.
Now, when we talk about institutions of excellence, and we must remind these young people that they come from excellence and extract out the excellence that's within them.
Yes.
Children are sheep. They're not sheepless. They're sheep. They look at what they see. The grown-ups doing. What the grown-ups are saying. And we need to have these institutions on every level.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Man, look.
And stop the lip service of, I'm tired of politicians giving lip service.
Look, let me latch on to something that you just said, and I will give recognition to someone that passed a couple months ago, God bless his soul, one of the stalwarts of the PLP. Mm-hmm. His name was Mr. David Hughes. They used to call him Lumumba.
Yes.
Lumumba, from the first time I got in front of him to be able to have major exchange, mm-hmm. he had been talking about, because he used to be working with the club down at Hamilton Parish. Mm-hmm. And he told me he used to be involved with the executive, and he appealed to them big time to start implementing programs that's going to move them away from depending on the bar for financial sustainability and move towards more social development that's going to help young people and develop them in different aspects of their life that's not going to be involved in alcohol. Mm. He said in order to do that, they got to change what they have as a structure, as a club.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what you just said. You said that clearly. So I'm saying that to say what? This, once again, it comes to us focusing on, here we are, we have people that's thinking like this. But do we have enough people to support the idea to put legs on those ideas? Because that brother used to say that every time he had a chance, he used to say it. But it fell on a lot of deaf ears. Mm-hmm. Now, that don't mean he was wrong. He wasn't wrong. He was right. Mm-hmm. I remember some of the administrators of the different clubs that I've been working with over the years, which is not many, but it's enough to know that I got to understand how the administration was working. Those people that were serious about managing and protecting children in the clubs, they used to tell them they don't want them to come in the entrances where the liquor is being served. If they are going to be socializing, there's not going to be drinking going on while the children are having games and things like that. They found it difficult to do to separate these children from the negative impact of what the habits of the adults were doing. So they couldn't have it both ways. You couldn't have an open market for these children to see bad behavior or weak behavior, if you will, weak social support systems, and have them to stay on the straight and narrow. You can't have it both ways. So I've heard administrators who didn't come out openly and say it like that David Hughes said, but they were saying it. They were all saying it, but they did not get the type of support that they needed to get for it to become a reality. Now, I don't know how many of us really take a subject like this serious enough to want to see it happen. But I tell you this much, our children deserve more than just being around a club that depends on the financial standings of the bar in order for to keep that club going. Our children need more than that, mate. And if you want our children to inherit what we have for them, what are they inheriting as a program and an idea that's supported like that?
And you know, look, we our issues are ours, and it as I said to folks this afternoon when we heard the news of what took place, and everyone was saying, oh, and I said, you know, look, until you and you, I said to about 4 people, and you decide when you leave here, don't just take the shock that another incident has took place, but take the shock and actually do something. Rather you start with your own family, but actually do something. And their network, here we live in a society now or a world where networking is in an instant. We can WhatsApp somebody in an instant with some information. We can WhatsApp this, we can this, that, the other, Facebook, this, that. But when it concerns the networking of our community to now say we're going to heal and grow our community, we are mute. We're mute.
Yes. Let me use this opportunity and actually give you some credit right now, bro. Right now, what you're doing is networking right now, you know. Now, yeah. Why do I say that? Here it is. I started off the program by saying I'm going to take advice from Mr. Mike Watson in light of acknowledging that I learned something after listening to the program last week. And in my learning, I needed to backtrack on how I vehemently said something, because I might have said it too strong in the interest of what I meant and intended to do. I didn't want to devalue what I was addressing, but it's possible that I might have done it because I didn't acknowledge people's beliefs. They might have beliefs that makes them believe in what they're saying. And I shouldn't suggest that they're wrong because they didn't say it but in the way that I expected it to be said. So the point being, when we could listen to one another and immediately say, I thank you for what you've just given me, and I'm going to latch on to it for it to be developed for what it's worth. I'm giving credit to the individual, and I'm now improving myself at the same time. And if we were to do this on talk radio, brother, we don't always have to come with a brilliant idea and a brilliant solution to our challenges, you know. It would be good for us to say, hey, you know, Mr. Grant, man, after hearing that presentation that you made, man, I really got a lot out of that, dear. And I want to thank you for putting it across like you did, man. That alone, in support, it doesn't have to be a whole lot of new knowledge and information brought to you. For me to just say, I acknowledge you, it done something for me, and I continue to want to respect where you're trying to go. Brother, if we were to multiply that practice, we will do better as a community, man. But you know what we're used to doing? And I know somebody's not going to like what I'm about to say. Oftentimes, when we participate on talk radio, we can't wait for the last person to speak so as we could say what we want to say. And in some cases, where it's required for us to latch on to what was already said because it has such great value, we just move on to the next thing because I'm got something to say. You had something to say? I'm got something to say. Well, I would venture to ask the question, how much progress will we make if we continue to multiply saying what we individually say and not improve on anything what the individual said? I just want that to be a thought to be left in the minds of people before they go off the program tonight. Sometimes we need to give acknowledgement to what's already been said, rather than putting new information on the table and developing nothing.
Understood. And I agree wholeheartedly with you. And the brother, man, and when you brought your monologue, I mean, I'm glad you brought what you did.
Yeah.
Because he made not only relevant points, but it was crucial points that we should take and grasp and understand.
And assess them. Yes, man. Yes, man. It's opportunity for us to assess them, man. I'm gonna litany of questions on Randall's presentation, brother. That brother gave me a lot of room to think about the what they call multi-pronged problem that we have, man. And the gang is only a symptom to the bigger problem, you know.
Yeah.
The gang situation is not the problem. It's a symptom to a greater problem.
Indeed.
And that's why we need to ask ourselves, how is it that, look, I remember one of my mentors, man, he was visiting from out of, I believe it was Philadelphia at the time. And I interviewed him on a talk show that I had. And he said something like this, I'm just cutting it short. He said, at one time, as children, we got so much attention. The types of things that we needed for our lives was so well-rounded that we didn't question who loved us. We didn't have to question what's missing in our lives or looking for something that's so ridiculous that when somebody observes us utilizing what we're looking for, they'll say, what's wrong with you? You know? He said, we didn't have problems like that. He said, we didn't hurt each other when we went to school. We went to school and enjoyed each other's company. Every now and then, he said, you had a bully that showed up, but the whole school dealt with the bully. Yeah. You didn't need no one or two people dealing with the bullies. The whole school dealt with them. You'll find teachers talking about the bully, the schoolmates talking about the bully, the principal, and parents talking about the bully. So the bully got dealt with. So he didn't get around to doing his thing as much to destroy the great many of school children. The great many of school children was exempt from the treatment of the bully. We went to school and we enjoyed each other's company. Why? Because we valued each other's relationship as children. He said now that we're going to school with guns in our hand to shoot each other as children. He said, what has gone missing in the child's life where they think they need a gun to fulfill their desires? It's not what happened to the child. Something went missing in the child's life that they're now replacing it with things like weapons. Yeah. So that was a good question. He said, don't look at what they done. Look at what went missing for them to end up thinking like that.
Absolutely.
And there lies why we had to look at Randall's thing once again tonight. I wasn't willing to browse over that so quickly because that brother presented something that's worth us looking into. And that's our families, man.
Yeah. Do you remember Paget Island?
Yes, I do.
Another place.
Yeah.
You know, there were places, or should say institutions that were around, and I'm sure people that today may have come from or out of those institutions.
Yes.
And where they are today, you know, and their testimony to the younger people of not giving up.
Yes.
Experiencing down and out and keep moving and keep striving.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, man.
It would be good if we can hear from some of these people. And I'm not saying that people are in the streets trying to assist and help. I see it, and I network with a few people.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And silently trying to change a narrative.
Yes.
Because that's all it comes down to is a narrative that becomes, in some cases, a culture.
Yes.
But anyway, Mr. Shakir, it was a pleasure, and I will let others look to come in and chime in.
Let us keep on doing what we're doing. We all need each other. We all need to support each other, and we all need to be encouraged by each other, man.
Indeed.
Thank you very much. Have the rest of a great evening.
You too as well, sir.
The number is 297 1027. We're talking Balance Matters. We know that these types of issues, they're sensitive. But we're not so weak that we can condition ourselves to deal with these challenges. We have a desire, a strong desire in our heart to care for our children, to protect our children, and hopefully redirect our children, because something is permeating in the environment that's really taken over and gotten the attention of our children more than what parents have had over the years, more than what teachers have had over the years, more than what spiritual guidance have had over the years. Something else has permeated the thinking process of families that are no longer strong enough to hold children together, to allow them to be a well-rounded person, whereas they will not end up diminishing their earned value to the point of having shooting of one another as being the answer to their problems. We definitely have good reason to stop and reflect. In the meantime, we're going to play a little bit of music, and hopefully after we play this little bit of music, you will come back and speak to the issues that we've used as the talking point. We're using the subject matter from a caller. The value of the caller was of that quality that his ideas became the subject for the talk show.